how far removed are we from like with conversations in basketball about like a player being so good, but they keep falling short? Like at the end of the day, why isn't winning the main thing? I just want to know that. Like, why isn't winning the separator, like for who can do what? You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't against SGA. I wasn't against SGA being the best in the world last year. I'm the one that said it. I said at first I didn't have him, but he won. Fuck it, I got to give it to him. Last season, SGA was the best player in the game of basketball. Had no problem admitting that. Why is it that, like, for example, with Jokic, I like Jokic, great player, but how many more times is he not going to get to the finals before we like question like the shit he doing?
To answer your question, Jordan, because we've fallen into the space of just basketball players, and we've taken away from how important it is for basketball players to produce at a high level when put in situations to win. All we care about them is, yo, you nicer than him with the pill. You're a better bucket getter than him. You're a better defender than him. That's the space that we've fallen into. That's why winning has not become as high as it used to be, in my estimation. To answer
I think something is wrong with that. Like, we're going to have, let's say we go on another 4-year run where Jokic don't sniff the finals.
Nah.
Nobody's going to penalize him for that shit.
I can't keep saying that.
Look, I agree to an extent, but the reason why we don't just use who's winning to determine who's the best or who the better players are is because, I mean, we've had to learn throughout like the history of the sport that sometimes the best players aren't always in the best situations. It takes a whole team and an organization to win championships.
Jokic is in a good situation.
Oh yeah. So in the Jokic example, I will say this, Jordan. He can still be the best player, or to some, the best player in the world, and not be getting to the finals. That's fine and dandy, in my opinion. But I will say this. The level of player in which his fans try to put him on, he cannot continue to not. They try to, because they try to say like he's the LeBron of this era, and no, he's not. He's not that caliber of player. He's not that caliber of player.
That's all I'm saying. Because if that's the case,
he's not that caliber of player.
But I think the issue is, Jordan, if when you bring up the Jokic stuff and the not winning, and I'm with you, like I think, but again, like even with Jokic 20, I think there are legitimate things that happened around him that were not out of his control last year. Like those games 2 and 3, that's it within his control. He didn't play well. Like, and then I think the year before, like Jamal Murray had an injury, like in the playoff that obviously affected his play. Like the year before, Jamal Murray was healthy, they won. The year before, Jamal Murray did miss the playoffs. They lost in the first round to the Warriors. The year before, they didn't have Murray or MPJ, they had a bad version of MPJ rather, and then they lost that year to the Suns in the second round. I think if you just go through the timeline, Giannis, for instance, best player in the world for a lot of people, Giannis hasn't been out the first round in 3 years.
But I'm agreeing with that.
4 years. I think, but I think that's like there's context to that though. Like I'm saying, like I think with those two players in particular, there's context to why I would say they haven't had more postseason success throughout their run and throughout their reign than we would have wanted, is what I'm saying. I think the issue is that
I agree.
And so I'm not trying to make excuses for Joker. Joker didn't play well in games last year. That is what it is. But I think he clearly has been on the opposite end of injury luck. The same thing with Giannis.
I agree, but at the same time, I agree, but one time.
And when y'all won the championship, y'all were on the good end of injury luck.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You have to benefit from it. You have to benefit from it, and you can also be
what it times in a row. Like I don't like. Okay, if shit keep happening 4 times, like brother, I don't want to hear
how is that Giannis's fault?
This is what I'm talking about.
How is that Giannis? Hold on, but chill. But how is that Giannis's fault though? Because like if we're doing it now, Giannis is about to miss the playoffs again or be out the first round again. I'm saying we can't, even the last 4 years, like Giannis missed it.
We gotta start having a different conversation about him. And to Jordan's
point, that's not Giannis's fault.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't, as good as you are as a player, you being able to hold up matters.
But how is it Giannis's fault for
you being able to hold up matters? And Jordan, what it sounds to me like you're saying, is you sick of hearing me say, Jordan, I got your money tomorrow. Jordan, I got your money tomorrow. Yeah. Jordan, I got your money. Chill. When you gonna give me my damn money?
How is it Giannis's fault for Dame not being healthy?
I know that. And Jordan, to your point, I know that you got a good ass job. I know you get money. when are you going to give me my money?
Whoa. Time out. Wait.
Chill.
No, time out, chill. Because you didn't even believe this. Because look, when Tatum went out in the first round in 21, he had a 50 ball in that series. But JB was hurt. Okay, and then the very next year, the year before that, he was in the East Finals. Don't forget that. And 2 years before that, he lost. He was in the East Finals. He lost. They were building it, right? They were building it, and he wasn't in best player of the world talk at that point.
Yeah, then he got
chill. I'm not gonna lie, chill. This argument doesn't make sense for you, knowing who your GOAT is. To be quite frank, you can't be the winning guy. Oh, we have to have a different conversation if you're not winning guy, and your GOAT is LeBron James.
Here's the difference, though. The difference with that real talk is that he did win, and he won multiple times.
But he lost more than he won.
But he also lost more than he won.
But here's the difference with him. Here's the difference with him. Real talk is the difference with him losing.
But he also sold in multiple finals.
But wait a minute. He was there. That's number one. And number two, he actually did win. Like, to Jordan's point,
he won 4 times.
We haven't seen Joker back there. We're going on year 3 now.
But LeBron,
we haven't seen.
We're in a better league. That's why there's no repeats.
You self-admitted this, though. The reason why, a contributing factor to LeBron doing that, he played in a very weak East. Was you brought this up? You brought this up. Very weak East. He had very good talent around. He had the best teams around him in the Eastern Conference at all of these runs for the most part. He lost.
But he also had the best team.
When he didn't have the best team, he lost every time.
But he got
every single time he didn't have the best team, he lost. When he won with the Heat, he had the best team. They won twice back to back, and then they lost the very next year. That Wade was a diminished product of himself, and so was Chris Bosh, and everybody fell apart.
So we had a whole conversation about it.
No, he had the best team, and they were favored to win the title.
LeBron got criticized for
No. I hear you, but chill saying
ass whooping so Jokic can walk.
No. Chill. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, bro. This is why when you have conversations in totality, Joker has played through a tougher playoff run than LeBron did over the course of that run, and had injuries that have affected the run.
That's not Swiper. You can hype that up all you
want. No, it's not hype, Jordan. No, Jordan. I'm asking you. No, Jordan. Hold on. I'm asking you.
All that shit don't even matter.
No, it does matter, Jordan. You're just talking through the point because you brought up a point about he got there. You can admit, and I think Chill, you can admit.
Sure.
The competition that Joker has played in the West playoffs is better than the competition that LeBron played in the East playoffs. Because I'm talking to Chill. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, you also acknowledge the injuries that have been there on Jokic's end going through the run. And so all I'm saying is not excuse me. Joker, I think, didn't play good enough in games 2, 3, and 4. But in game 5, when he did, he had 45 and 15, and Jamal Murray sucked in the fourth quarter. No, but Jordan, you're just talking through the point. Like, just let me talk to Chill, because I'm trying to get to this point. The issue is that you're saying you have to be able to do it, and you have to be able to win it, because you're just talking. You said you have to be able to get there.
Excuses. That does not matter.
LeBron didn't win every year. Jordan didn't win every year. They didn't win. They didn't win. What'd you say?
Yes, and at real talk, at some point,
Michael Jordan
the winning isn't the only thing.
LeBron has 4.
They lost, but they lost.
And they did.
LeBron has 4. Mike has 6. Jokic have 1.
They lost. But I'm not just talking. I said Giannis too. Giannis has 1.
And I understand that. Real talk.
Yes,
is it Giannis's fault?
But it shouldn't be.
Is it Giannis's fault for being hurt? Is it Giannis's fault Dame went down? Matter of fact, Jordan, let me see how much of a dumb argument this is. Hey, chill. In 2022, when Giannis Antetokounmpo was averaging 35, 15, and 6, and they lost in Game 7, he had 20. Let me just give you the background. Chill. He had 44, 20, and 6 in Game 6. They lost that game. He had 25, 20, and 9 in Game 7. They lost that game. Now, Giannis, to his credit or slander, he missed almost every shot he needed to make in the second half of that game because he was exhausted. But Chris Midleton wasn't there. Drew Holiday shot 40% in that series. I'm not talking to you, Jordan. I'm not talking to you. Jordan, chill. No, it's cool. I don't care. Mute. Shut up. So what I'm saying is that Chill, in this situation, are you telling me that you're blaming? Are you telling me that you're blaming Giannis in 2022
let him get it
losing
off,
to the Celtics
Yep.
Is it his fault for losing to the Celtics, even though he averaged 35, 15, and 5?
Okay, so we got to do the same
with no Chris Middleton,
and we have to do the same thing. If you're doing that, we got to do the same thing with James in 09 when he went almost 40, 10, and 10 when they lost to the Orlando Magic.
I agree with you. I agree, but
chill. We agree, but that's why we're saying this isn't like the argument for like. Look, matter of fact, the reason why we started adding context to careers has a lot to do with LeBron James. Because we understand that LeBron, because all of the LeBron haters just wanted to, he has 6 losses in the finals, just ignoring that in 07, he lost to a clearly superior team. In 14, the Spurs shot historic from 3. Then he loses to the Golden State Warriors with no Kevin Love and no Kyrie Irving. Then in 17, 18, he's losing to Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala, all on one team. So it would be foolish of us to be looking at LeBron talking about, oh my God, why are you losing LeBron to Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Klay Thompson and Draymond? So we are giving that benefit of the doubt to other players,
and real talk. What I told
it would be foolish if last year we look at Giannis like, oh my God, why isn't Giannis getting it done when Giannis is averaging like 35, 12, and 6, and Damian Lillard's not there, and a whole bunch of stuff is going on for that Milwaukee Bucks team. Why are we looking to you? Because you said, we might have to look at Giannis different. To me, it's like, why are we looking at Giannis different if he's performing to Giannis standards and the team just isn't good enough?
Which is a fair, and I think that's
a fair. Chill. Remember, we said this. I said this to you on Sunday. I said this to you on Sunday. Chill. I don't give a damn what the numbers say about LeBron in 14, 15 in that final. He was by far the best player in the series. By far. I think that's his most impressive series ever. And he lost.
Yep.
And he lost.
Absolutely.
Like, am I blaming him for Timothy Mozgov and Matthew Dellavedova being the best?
I'm not going to argue that point. But to real talk, to your point, I think that everything that you just said is valid. I think that where the separation is between you and me is that at some point, we can't just keep saying he was the most awesome. Like, at some point, you have to win, which is what he did. I don't expect you to win every year, right? I don't expect you to win every year. But at some point, you have to win. And
but what's also crazy?
Really quickly, real talk. And if we're going to talk about you like being the best player in the world, like we do Joker, like we do Giannis, it has to come more frequently, man. Like we did with James.
Thank you.
Because he won more.
Jordan won more.
How's he slid by? How's he slid by?
Because the nigga won one time, and we be putting him in top 10 conversation.
Hold on. So can we find a consensus of where Joker's at? Go ahead, chill.
Real quickly. Real talk. I don't expect you to win every year. And to me, like, winning isn't extremely high on it's high on my list, but it isn't extremely high. But I do care about it. I mean, you can't just be kicking ass and you're not winning, because then it's empty. And I do understand the context, right? But at some point, I can't keep getting paid.
They're not even healthy right now, Chill. You said they should make.
I can't. Like,
you have them making the finals. They're still not healthy.
We can't keep talking
about.
Do
you guys understand why this is a problem? Do you understand what the problem is?
No, I don't.
Jordan,
what's the problem?
The problem
4 or 5 years and ain't winning.
Go ahead.
Chill. This is why this is a problem. The problem is, Swiper, with all due respect, Swiper has held Jokic up to here. So now we are trying to combat Swiper. Swiper's word isn't law when it comes to Jokic. We know he's a major Jokic fan. We know that. We should not be trying to hold Jokic up to those expectations of LeBron, Jordan, even Steph Curry.
Ron, it's not just Swipe those, because the basketball community.
How many people is it there?
A lot of people, Ron. A lot of the basketball community have Jokic in this tier of Michael Jordan, LeBron-esque type peak player,
behind the back wide open.
It's
right,
not just Swipe.
Maybe it's me then. Maybe I just be looking at that shit thinking it's a joke. Maybe I just be thinking.
I don't know how we got here. We was talking about Cade Cunningham. That's what we were talking about.
Chill. The reason why we got here is because we were talking about how winning matters, and we named a bunch of players. Jordan brought up Jokic and said, if winning does matter, then we got to hold Jokic to that standard. Swiper then said we got to hold Giannis to that standard. I agree. We do got to hold certain players. If you are that great, if you are the best player in the NBA, you should be winning. And you should be winning championships.
And I don't see.
But we picked them to win the ring this year, though. The season's not over. We're in the middle of the season, and the season isn't over.
But that doesn't just because. So since the season's not over, we can still criticize him because the season's not over.
Criticize for which part?
Hold on, no, Swiper. It's not even. I probably shouldn't use criticize.
I'm asking you.
I probably shouldn't use criticize.
That nigga get so emotional just because you talk about Jokic, bro.
Nigga, we're talking about other players. I disagree with your argument. I think what you said is dumb. I think your point about winning and LeBron is dumb. When he won and lost, he lost 6 times. And then on top of that, he sucked in multiple finals. Sucked. He is the reason they lost in 2011. He's the reason they lost. LeBron,
what are you arguing?
Player in the world
What
who had 2 MVPs. He sucked. Therefore, they lost. So your argument is bad. Your argument is bad. That's what I'm saying.
Right now, why are you bringing up LeBron James?
Well, because this idea that just because you're the best player in the world, devoid of context, means you should win every year. That's not the way the argument works. That's not the way it works.
Nobody said that.
Jordan, you said they haven't won enough. Giannis has one title. SJ has one title. Jokic has one title. Right now, all 3 of those players are dealing with injuries. All 3 of those players have injured teammates. Every single one of them. Every single one of them.
The point is consistent with all 3 of them, though. Shea needs to win more, especially with him being in Kobe conversations.
Pushing Cade Cunningham, pushing SJ and Luka.
Giannis needs to win more with the conversations he's in.
But the idea you're blaming Giannis for the reason why that they've lost is ridiculous to me. It's not a price. That's not a price I'm willing to tax him with. I'm not going to tax him with that. I'm not going to tax him with that. That's silly.
You do know that's the reason why Kevin Garnett isn't valued as high as he should be.
That's dumb. I think you're dumb. If you think Kevin Garnett's a worse player because he didn't win,
it's not though.
So wait, Ron, I'm asking you. So when you watch Kevin Garnett play, you're saying that's not one of the 20 best players I've ever seen in my life?
Kevin, look, I'll keep it a buck with you. Since we're talking about Kevin Garnett, I never thought that Tim Duncan was better than Kevin Garnett. Never. However, when we do these lists and we talk about
you gonna put TD over KG,
I cannot put Kevin Garnett in the top 10 because
an arbitrary
anybody's list, Tim Duncan is over Kevin Garnett. You know
that's true.
Like,
but I'm saying,
I've never seen a list of Kevin Garnett over.
Does it devalue Kevin Garnett's career that he played in Minnesota?
Nobody says it devalue. Obviously, nothing.
But he played in Minnesota.
We're not trying to devalue nobody. All we're trying to do is
make
a pecking order on where
he played with Wally Serbiak and Sam Cassell. That was the best team he ever had.
Bro, every time, and that's why there's tiers and categories.
Yeah, but one time, but we know what that was. Yeah, good team, put him in the game.
Wally was cold. Wally was cold.
But we don't have to act like KG was having. And see, KG, another example of why we can't just do like the winning thing because he's on a clearly inferior team. Like I don't understand how we're going to penalize Kevin Garnett. Because he's playing in Milwaukee with inferior roster after inferior roster when the Dirk Mavs are in his conference, the Spurs are in his conference, the Shaq Kobe Lakers are in his conference. Like, how are we blaming Kevin Garnett for this? I don't.
It's not about blame. Real talk. It's not about blame, but you have to. If you're not winning, I have to knock you to a certain extent.
There you go.
Like you can still be great. You could be awesome, but that's how sports work, regardless. So yeah, we know it's a team sport, but if you're the best player, you want to be talked about like this, then you have to do incredible things. Even if that means carrying an inferior team to victory. If you're incapable of carrying an inferior team to victory, I can't talk about you to a
That's
certain
the price you pay for being a
extent.
champion, bro.
But yes, you can still be great. You can still be awesome. We could talk about how good you are, but there's a room that you're not allowed to get in, and that's just
that's it. And Swiper lost his mind behind that. That's all there is to it. Lost his
fellas. We gotta move on.
If you got a whack crew and y'all getting stomped out, and you're the leader. Man, teach the niggas how to squabble. Teach the niggas how to squabble. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is.
On the reverse end, if you got a crew that is they all right, but you're floor raising or even ceiling raising them to another level, which I'm talking about Cade Cunningham. I'm not knocking the Detroit Pistons, but Cade is carrying that squad,
and that's why if he gets to the finals, Ron, you got to play
crazy defense. His teammates play crazy defense. But we watched that game last night. Cade is carrying that team, and he does it night in and night out. We've seen it in the playoffs last year. We've seen what he was doing last season. He's taking it to a whole nother level this season. And Swiper, that's all I'm saying is you could clearly see that what Cade's doing, it is a direct impact to winning. If he
but nobody's disagreeing with that
and get better and better and better, what I'm saying is, those conversations are going to get louder and louder and louder. Shane Luka, it's going to get closer and closer and closer.
Why should we ignore that? Because some fucking nerd on the internet said he's not fucking efficient.
It's Jordan,
who the fuck cares?
You think
why
SGA is better than him?
Why should we ignore what Cade Cunningham? Why should we ignore what Cade Cunningham is doing? And if he get to this finals this year with this Detroit Pistons team, we should ignore everything Cade Cunningham did because he's not efficient.
I don't think you should ignore it.
It's the panel. Religion get built on cam. With a check throw smoke and the host go ham. You ain't never seen hoops all hit the raw. Every take got weight, every night we drop. This that barbershop. Courtside, worldwide tone. Welcome to the only show that really feel like numbers jumping like the score.